Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really zeroing in on just one specific piece of research, but it's a crucial one from back in 2018. It's called Energy Security and Energy Storage Technologies.
That's right. And our mission today is pretty focused. We're basically digging into how 5 key energy storage technologies performed when they were assessed using this really thorough energy security framework.
And specifically within the context of moving towards a 100% renewable energy system, right?
Exactly. This 2018 study is, well, it's quite important because it sort of laid the groundwork for evaluating storage beyond just, the usual cost and capacity metrics.
Okay, so let's set the stage. How did the study define energy security? It wasn't just keeping the lights on, was it?
No, not at all. The study defines it as the whole system functioning optimally and sustainably, free from risks and threats. And it flags storage as absolutely one of the most vital parts of making a renewable system secure.
Right. And to measure that security, they used quite a framework.
Oh, yeah. 15 different dimensions. It's really comprehensive. They didn't just stick to engineering stuff.
15, wow.
Yeah, you can sort of think of them in buckets. There's the technical side, things like availability, cost, technology itself, resilience.
Okay.
Then a societal bucket, environment, health, culture, employment, even literacy.
Literacy. Interesting.
And finally, the geopolitical angle, policy, military, and cybersecurity.
15 dimensions. Okay, that's a lot to juggle. So which technologies did they put under this microscope?
They looked at 5 big ones for the energy transition.
Yeah.
Pumped hydro storage, so PHS.
The classic.
Yep. Thermal energy storage, TES. VLS, obviously. Then adiabatic compressed air energy storage, or APES. And finally, bulk gas and liquid storage that covers things like hydrogen, synthetic fuels, biogas.
Okay, quite a portfolio. Now, before we dive into specifics, what was the headline finding? I mean, you'd assume all storage helps security, but I gather it wasn't quite that simple.
Well, yes and no. The study did find that all these storage types generally do enhance energy security overall. That's the good news.
Uh-huh.
But the real insight, the hook, is that they don't do it equally, and their security profiles are vastly different. It's not just about the total score, but how they score across those 15 dimensions. Some have really significant downsides in specific areas.
Right, so it's about the trade-offs.
Exactly. It forces you to think much more carefully about which storage you choose for what purpose. For instance, TES came out on top, not necessarily because it was perfect, but because it managed to avoid major negative scores better than the others.
Okay, let's start there then with the winner, thermal energy storage, TES. It got the highest score, a +9. That's pretty dominant. So why did TES perform so well?
Well, what's really striking about TES is how broadly positive its scores were. Out of those 15 dimensions, it scored positively on 10. Only 1 negative and 4 neutral.
10 positives, wow, what drove that?
A big factor highlighted in the study is its diversity and availability. You've got loads of options for the storage medium air, water, synthetic oils, even phase change materials, PCMs.
PCMs, right? Those materials that soak up heat when they melt.
Exactly. So you're not locked into one rare material like, say, lithium for batteries. And it's incredibly versatile in scale, meaning you can build small distributed TES systems, maybe for buildings or massive centralized plants. That really boosts its availability score because it's not tied to specific locations in the same way something like pumped hydro is.
Makes sense. What about cost? Storage is often expensive.
That's another strength. The study points to relatively low capital costs, roughly in the range of 3 to 60 euros per kilowatt hour. That's quite competitive.
But what about efficiency? I often hear that turning heat back into electricity isn't very efficient. Did that impact the score?
Yes, that's a key point this study makes. The efficiency really depends on what you use the stored energy for. If it's direct heating, space heating, and industrial heat, it's fantastic, over 90% efficient.
Okay, that's high.
Very high. But if you need electricity, you have to convert that heat back, usually with a steam or gas turbine, and that's where you lose energy. Efficiency for electricity generation drops quite a bit, maybe 30% to 60%.
So great for heat, less great if you purely need electrons back.
Pretty much. Technologically, it's strong, especially for heating needs. But let's talk security trade-offs. How does it fare, say, on cyber or military risks?
Good question.
On cybersecurity, distributed TES often scores well because many systems can run manually, offline. Less connectivity means less vulnerability.
Right, less attack surface.
Exactly. But the military dimension is where TES got its main negative score, or at least a significant concern was raised.
How so?
If you have these high-temperature TES systems, especially distributed ones near populated areas, they become a potential target. An attack could cause, well, catastrophic failure fires, explosions, maybe chemical releases, depending on the medium. That specific risk is a definite downside.
Okay, I see. So even the top score has vulnerabilities to consider. Let's move to batteries then. They ended up in the middle, tied with PHS and gas liquid storage at +5. Now this gets interesting because batteries are everywhere, but they have their own issues, right?
Definitely. And the battery analysis really showcases those conflicting scores you mentioned earlier. On the plus side, they score well on cost, mainly because costs have been falling so rapidly.
Yeah, the trend has been dramatic.
And they also score high on resilience. Batteries are very modular. If one unit fails, it doesn't take down the whole system. Plus, they react incredibly quickly to changes in grid supply and demand. Very flexible.
Okay, fast, flexible, getting cheaper. Sounds good. But it's still only tied with pump hydro, which is like ancient technology in comparison, right? What pulled the battery score down to just +5?
Two really big drags. First is availability. The study rated this as neutral, which might sound odd given how many batteries are being made, but
It's about the materials, isn't it? Lithium, cobalt.
exactly. Well, there are other chemistries emerging, like sodium ion, which uses abundant materials. The dominant lithium-ion batteries rely on resources with, let's say, significant supply chain concerns and geographic concentration. Thinking long-term, that's a potential security risk.
Right, the resource bottleneck. And the second major hit, is that the environmental side?
Yes. Environment and health?
Yep.
Batteries scored poorly here. Manufacturing involves some pretty toxic stuff, things like hydrofluoric acid, DMC.
Yes, the chemicals.
Yep. And that means the whole life cycle, from making them to eventually disposing of or recycling them, needs careful, costly management to protect health in the environment. That directly impacts those security dimensions.
Okay, and what about cybersecurity? You'd think chemical storage would be immune to hacking.
You would think. The energy is stored chemically. You can't hack that. But the study points out a crucial weakness, the way they're integrated into the grid.
How so?
Almost all grid-scale batteries are networked. They need to be monitored, controlled, optimized, and that connection is the vulnerability. Hackers don't need to mess with the chemistry. They can target the control systems, the inverters.
Oh, so they could just tell the battery to dump all its energy at the wrong time or stop charging?
Precisely. They could manipulate it to destabilize the grid, effectively neutralizing that storage capacity without ever touching the physical battery components.
Yeah.
So, yeah, high cyber risk in practice.
Okay, so batteries, fast and flexible, but with serious material and health concerns, plus a hidden cyber risk. Let's contrast that with the mechanical giants. Pumped hydro storage, PHS, and adiabatic compressed air, ACAS. PHS also got +5, same as batteries. ACAS, though, was at the bottom with only +2.
Right. Let's take PHS first. It's the most mature grid-scale storage we have. Its big strengths are that maturity, its reliability, high efficiency, good availability, and just an incredibly long operational lifetime.
Yeah, these plants can last decades, right?
Easily. 40 to 70 years isn't uncommon. So those factors give it a solid baseline, hence the +5 score.
So if it's so proven and lasts so long, why didn't it score higher? Why only a 5, same as the volatile batteries?
Its weaknesses are pretty significant, mainly geographic and increasingly environmental. Location is a huge constraint. You need mountains, valleys, water.
Can't just build one anywhere.
Exactly. And it scores lower on resilience when it comes to certain large-scale natural disasters. Think about a major drought, rendering the reservoirs useless. Or, catastrophically, a dam failure or crack. The impact could be severe and long-lasting, both for the grid and the local area.
And I imagine the military risk is enormous too, like the TES point, but maybe even bigger.
Absolutely huge. The study flags large PHS dams as prime military targets. You could seize the power source, sure, but destroying the dam itself, that causes massive downstream flooding, potentially wiping out communities. That catastrophic potential really hurts its security score in that dimension.
Okay, now let's look at the other mechanical one, ACAS. Adiabatic compressed air. It scored lowest, just +2. Why did it perform so poorly in the security assessment?
Well, a key issue for ACS was having the most neutral scores 5 dimensions, where it didn't really add positive value. Its low overall score was linked partly to low diversity. You need air, obviously, but you also need very specific underground geology.
Like salt caverns or specific rock formations?
Right. To hold the compressed air safely and efficiently, that reliance on specific location geology bumps up the investment cost and really limits where you can actually build these things, reducing its distribution potential compared to, say, batteries or TES.
So availability and location are hurdles. What else dragged it down?
Another factor, maybe surprisingly, was employment. ACAS plants tend to be highly automated. They don't actually require that many people to run compared to some other energy infrastructure.
Huh. So fewer jobs means a lower security score in that dimension.
According to this framework, yes. It shows how broad their definition of security was. It included socioeconomic factors like job creation. ACAS also only has moderate cycle efficiency, around 70% for the adiabatic version they studied.
Got it. Limited locations, fewer jobs, moderate efficiency. Explains the lower score. Okay, final category. Bulk, gas, and liquid storage. Also hit that middle tier score of +5. This covers hydrogen, biogas, synthetic fuels. Quite a range.
Yes, and that range is one of his strengths. It scored very high on diversity precisely because there were so many potential chemical carriers: hydrogen, methane, ammonia, synthetic diesel, biodiesel. Lots of options.
Flexibility in the fuel source.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it also scored well on employment. Think about the whole chain: producing the gas or liquid, transporting it, sparing it, trading it on markets, even staffing the refueling stations. It generates a lot of jobs across different sectors.
Okay, high diversity, good for employment. What are the downsides? What kept it at +5 alongside PHS and batteries?
The big one is the cost of disruption. You're dealing with potentially very hazardous substances here: flammable gases, explosive liquids.
Right, not like spilling water from a PHS plant.
Definitely not. If something goes wrong, a leak, a fire, an explosion, the consequences can be severe, and the cost of dealing with that incident is extremely high. That inherent danger also means the cost of securing these facilities properly is high, which negatively impacts that specific security parameter score.
And similar to PHS dams, I'm guessing large centralized fuel depots are attractive military targets.
Oh, absolutely. The study makes that clear. Like PHS, large centralized gas and liquid storage facilities are high-value military targets.
Oh,
An enemy might want to seize the fuel reserves or, perhaps more likely, destroy them to cause chaos and cripple infrastructure. That vulnerability weighs down the military security score.
okay, so let's pull this all together. We've gone through the 5 technologies assessed in this 2018 paper. The final ranking was TES way out front at +9, then a 3-way tie in the middle at +5, PHS, batteries, and gas liquid storage, and finally ACAES lagging at +2. So what's the big picture takeaway from all this?
I think the main conclusion from the study still holds water today.
Yeah.
Yes, all these storage types do generally improve energy security compared to having no storage, but, and it's a big but,
Uh-huh.
decision makers absolutely have to look beyond just that top-line score. They need to dig into the details of those 15 dimensions for each technology. The fact that PHS, batteries, and gas liquid all scored +5 is almost misleading because their security strengths and weaknesses are completely different.
Right. It's not an apples-to-apples comparison, even if the final number is the same. Batteries give you resilience but have those material and health risks. PHS is efficient and proven but geographically tied and a huge military target. Gas liquid offers diversity in jobs but carries that massive risk of catastrophic failure or attack.
Exactly. And TES won, essentially, by minimizing the downsides, only that one major negative concern around military attacks on high-temp distributed systems compared to 10 positives. This study really hammered home that you can't just pick storage based on price per kilowatt hour. You need a portfolio approach, carefully balancing the different security profiles to build a truly resilient 100% renewable system.
It really highlights the complexity, doesn't it? A fascinating deep dive into that 2018 paper, Energy Security and Energy Storage Technologies. Thanks for breaking it down for us.
My pleasure. And maybe something for you, the listener, to think about. We've talked a lot about these trade-offs, right? Like density versus disruption risk, or cost versus environmental impact. If you're a policymaker planning these future renewable grids, which single energy security dimension out of those 15 do you think deserves the absolute highest priority?
Ooh, that's a tough one. A really good question to ponder. It definitely shows there are no easy answers in this transition. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Hopefully, you feel a bit more equipped to think about the future of secure energy.